So we generated our application and then we took a walkthrough of the user interface. In this lesson, I want to take a walkthrough of the code. So let's go ahead and open the project inside of IntelliJ. We're going to be using IntelliJ in this course. So I can actually run this right from the command line by just typing idea and then the project name. So in our case, we're just opening this. So we'll just go ahead and idea this. And this should open in IntelliJ and open it up as a project for us. Okay, so the project is open now. I'm gonna go ahead and close this tip. And so what I wanna do is actually just take a quick walkthrough of the application and just kind of look around the source code and kind of find out where everything is. So first off, here in our main directory, we have a bunch of files that kind of pertain to both the Spring Boot project and the Angular project. And so we'll just kind of jump through some of this stuff. So the editor config, this may be new to you if you haven't done any kind of front-end development lately, but this editor config is actually picked up by different IDEs, and it allows us to help maintain a consistent coding style across different editors and IDEs. So if I on my team use IntelliJ, but someone else on my team uses, say, Spring Tool Suite, we'll actually keep the same kind of coding styles across the project, which can be a real pain in the butt. If somebody else codes a different style than you and you pull their code down, it's not a lot of fun. So this help keeps everything consistent. So that's pretty cool. That's just kind of out of the box. That's something provided when we generate the application. Then if we go down, we have our pom.xml. Again, this is going to be our Spring Boot app, kind of everything that's defined in here, all of the different properties and all the different dependencies that we need for this particular project are defined here. So go ahead and take a look through that just to kind of get an idea. Angular CLI, we kind of got everything configured in here. If we look at our package.json, this is telling us, this is kind of describing our project. We can see that we're using Angular 4 here. So just a lot of stuff in the main directory, kind of project related. Remember, we talked about Webpack. So Webpack, here's the folder here, and this is all of the different configuration for setting up Webpack. So if you need to change something, you can easily go into, say, a dev config here and change the way that we set this up. And it's nice that this is all set up for us, because this means that it's kind of like Spring Boot, where it's opinionated out of the box, like this is doing one thing. But if we need to change something, we can easily change it. So that's the Webpack folder. Node modules is really all of the node dependencies that get generated for us. Maven is our Maven wrapper. And then finally our source. So our source folder, this is going to look familiar. So we're going to have a source main, and inside of main, this should kind of look like our tasks app from before, right? We have source main Java in a Spring Boot app. We have source main resources. When we did our tasks app earlier, we created a new project with a folder named front end, when really this is just the web app folder. So pretty similar setup here. So in our web app folder, we have our index.html. This is the main HTML file. And then inside of our app folder, we have our Angular 4 application. And this is all of our components. So if we look at our app module TS, this is kind of our main module here. And this defines all of our different imports, our declarations, providers that we need, etc. So that's our main module. And then we have all these different folders here. So one of the conventions in Angular, if you want to kind of share things that are common throughout your app, you put them in a shared folder. So we have things like alerts, constants, login, modals, etc. So those are in our shared folder. We have layouts. Home, remember that home page that had the links to JHipster and the JHipster logo on it? That's a component. So inside a home, here's our component here. We see this is the HTML that is used to generate that page. And again, here's our links. We have a home module. So this declares a few things. We have a home route. So if you've been around Angular, which you should, you kind of understand what routes are. We have different routes set up for all of the components. So we can close out of that. Things like entities, blocks, admin, and then if we go into the account, just like we did with tasks in our example, we kind of have subcomponents, right? These components belong to an account, whether it's registering or activating. So if we go under register, we have a register component.typescript. So this is everything in our register component, and that includes the template URL to our HTML. So here's our HTML for the new registration of a user. You can see here's our form where you fill in all the information. You'll see kind of binded with our ng model, all these different ng ifs based on if errors come in. So this is our registration form, and then obviously that submits to our registration component. So you can kind of jump through here. So this is pretty cool. Everything is really broken down for us, just exactly how we'd want it to be. And again, this is exactly what we'd expect something like this to look like as far as a generated application. So that's the front end of it. Then we have the resources. Again, we're back into a Spring Boot app. So we have some H2 server properties. This is basically what the banner looked like. We have different templates. We did have different email templates. So when we have a activation, so this is the email that would get sent out. We have our internationalization. We have some configuration here. So here's our main YAML configuration with our development and our production profiles as well. So this is, again, if you've done Spring Boot before, if you've done Angular before, this should all be looking pretty familiar. Now if we jump into source main Java, this is where our Spring Boot application is. So we have nothing should look out of the ordinary. This is just a normal main application class. So this is our task app. We have a post construct, but here's our public static void main. And remember when we went ahead and fired up that Spring Boot app, there was some information at the bottom that said, hey, your application is running. Here's how you get to it. And so here's that logging info that is printed out to the console. So with that, we have some ALP logging stuff. There's a bunch of configuration. Obviously, again, this is not something you would want to write starting a new application. If we were to do this from scratch, I mean, just this base application alone would take us a couple weeks. There's a bunch of stuff going on in here. So we talked a lot about like all of the security configuration that goes on. So here's, everything's getting set up for security as far as how we're going to lock stuff down and what we're going to allow and etc. So that's kind of configuration. There's a bunch of stuff going on in here. And then we have our domain classes, our repositories. We have a whole folder dedicated to security. Again, I talked when we generated the application, we were using JSON web tokens. So if you've ever kind of set that up on your own, that can be pretty difficult too. There's a lot of different moving parts. There's no starter, if you will, to just kind of kick all that off. You got to set up the JWT configure, the JWT filter. We have a token provider here. So these are some things that you probably do some looking around unless you really have this down. This is something that would take a little while to go ahead and set up on your own. So that's security side of things. And we have all our different services. And then we have our web REST. So inside of there we have like a user resource, and we would have something /API and maybe /users. So that's a post mapping. If we wanted to create a new user, we go /API /users. We can see that it's secured, so only admins can create it. We do some checking in here to make sure that, again, these are all the things that we might not do right out of the box if we were writing this ourselves. I mean, we're literally checking for everything here, making sure that the user has an ID, that the login doesn't already exist, or the email doesn't exist, etc. And then if everything goes through, we create our new user, send the credentialed email out, and send back the response. So that is the Spring Boot side of things. So I think that's about it. I just kind of wanted to open that project and let you know where all of the files were, what we were looking at, and just kind of find your way around this app. So spend some time looking at these files, getting familiar with what a base project looks like. Just kind of helps to know where everything is before we start adding some complexity to it. So with that, let's go ahead and move on.